morning. I can't see y'all from where I'm sitting today, trying something new. So, probably be better to call in your questions and comments. So, you can know that you're out there. So, if you're on already, we're about to start. Um, throw up some thumbs up, some love, some laughs, and something. Let me know that you're out there and that you're watching. And thanks for tuning in. And good morning to whomever's on now, because I promise you I cannot see your name. So I shout out to them be real different today. So good morning. I'm gonna start y'all off in just a minute. Um
20 seconds.
and you said
15 seconds. 10 seconds.
y'all, we can start.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning to you. How are you this morning? It is a lovely, God blessed day. The sun is shining and you're still alive. That's a plus. Well, today, my special guest is my special man in my life, the love of my life, my ace, my running buddy, my ride or live. Um, and he's going to be with me today. He needed to make an appearance again too, so gotta let everybody know that he does exist. Say hi to the people.
Hi, people.
You know what? I just can't. Oh my God! Some days. So today we're going to talk about some marriage, some love, and some some of us. So what we're gonna start out doing some shout outs. I'd like to say good morning to everybody that's online today, this morning listening to us. Got some announcements to make. Tonight we're doing the journey with Kawana Vogel. Listen, if you have not understood the 23rd Psalms, you got to break it down line by line. But we're doing that tonight at 7:45, and we're at a new location. It'll be posted on my Facebook page, and you need to come out and see how the 23rd Psalms is broken down. And tonight we're on number. I don't have it. And tonight we're going to be doing the last verse, which is verse number 6. So we're going to be doing that verse tonight. And let me tell you something. When I say it's fire, it's totally fire. It's totally what you don't expect or what you do expect. Last month we did. He prepares a table before me my enemies. Man, look, let me tell you something. She had this table set up. It was so beautiful. And we all sat and we saw how God prepares tables for us. So it was really, 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 really good. Shout out to Shannon tonight. She'll be there, Shannon Edie, and she's having an event tomorrow where my husband will be one of the one of the panel members and on for tomorrow. It's about what men want. Wow. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing that tonight, and I'm sorry, tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. So that starts at 9 o'clock tomorrow, and it's over about 2 and 11 o'clock. They're having a men's session. So if you see, or go on my Facebook page, and you can see where the address is, and hope to see the men there. You need to come on out and hear what men want. Women, we really need to come out because we really need to know what women want. We really need to see what the men are saying and what they want from us and what we should be giving them. So come on out, and I'm looking for the address right now. Babe, talk
And I
to
can
me.
give you a brief summary. It'll take 2 seconds. What men want: the kitchen and the bedroom. Period.
Okay, some things are short, sweet. Some things just take a little bit longer. And I was on the hopeful side that this was going to take a little bit longer than it did. But since it didn't, and since, wow, that'll get a reaction out of
We're pretty
everyone.
simple. Seriously, we're pretty simple. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more to that than that, but for the most part, there's two little things, or two big things.
I kind of find y'all, since we're going into it now, I'll shout you the address out now. So, however, if you want to comment or if you want to ask a question, the number is 301-429-9247. The number again is 301-429-9247.
We cannot see our comments
Right, and
from here, even with my glasses.
And you can't do your speaker. Sorry, you got to have your ear to the phone because speaker phones don't quite work really well. So back to what I was saying. I kind of think that in my perspective, and it's my perspective, ladies, my perspective. I think that you guys are kind of difficult. I think that because you guys don't talk a lot or you don't say a lot, it's hard to gauge what you really want or what you don't want or what you want to see or so it's kind of hard to gauge what men really want because you guys don't talk about what you really want. You don't talk about your feelings. And see, as women, we just put it out there, but you guys hold it and hold it and hold it. And so we never know what exactly you guys are wanting, even as it relates to marriage. We don't know. We really don't know. It's sometimes for me, it's a guessing game. I'm either gonna hit the jackpot or I'm gonna lose it all. So it's kind of in between, I guess.
As you see, I'm taking it in. I'm listening to what you're saying. It's really not that deep, but
well, for you guys, it may not be deep, but for us, it's a little bit deeper than that. And so we try. We don't always make the mark, but we try. And so I don't understand why you don't. As a woman perspective, it is a little bit deeper.
Well, allow me to retort.
Why can't you?
It's actually it's loaded in what you were just saying. Part one is that it's true. A lot of times men don't talk. We're not very communicative. I mean, I don't know the numbers statistically, but women use far more words than we do on a daily basis. But part of that is two things to that, and I'm only speaking from my perspective. I'm not speaking for men in general, but just from my perspective. The other day, my great grandson stubbed his toe, and my young ladies in the house were telling him, "Be quiet, be a boy, be a man." Yeah, and I said, "No, he hurt his toe. He hurt the pinky toe. It hurts. Let the boy say how he's feeling about that." That's the one perspective where we especially when we were little, we were always taught, be a man, don't cry, hold it in, suck it up. That's the first part to that. The second part to that is that as men, for some, if we start to tell you how we feel, sometimes we can feel a little judged, or we can feel, we get a reaction from women that we really don't want to get, and it's like you may. I don't want to say. I'm trying to say this so that so that's clear and so you guys can understand. We may get a negative. You may give us a negative reaction. So because of that negative reaction, and realistically, men do not like conflict at all. We are not into conflict. So if we get that negative reaction telling you how we feel, a lot of times we'll just keep that to ourselves. And that's the other side of that coin where it goes into communication. But I'll say for me growing up, I was never given that opportunity, or I was never given saying how I felt was never really, I don't want to say an option, but it just with women, how you guys can just get together and you guys can go. And the conversations are layered, and it's I seen women go, and men, we are very compartmentalized. We talk about sports, and we may be talking about politics, or we may be talking about X, Y, and Z, but it's all compartmentalized. Whereas women is they're like this. I'm just amazed. I'm actually fascinated because I work with a bunch of women, and I see the conversations. And when we're working, I have to tell them, you realize you're talking to a man, right? I'm just saying, because we were talking about patient A. You went all the way over to patient Z, and you expecting me to follow you and know what you're talking about. Now, the rest of y'all know what you're talking about, but I have no clue. That's not the way my brain works, and it's not a right or wrong, but that's just the way that's just the way we think as men. But back to your point, it's just that for some of us, we just weren't bred or raised or reared to communicate those feelings. So and then when you start really getting into how you feel about certain things, it can be a little off-putting. It's like I remember because I as I get older, I'm starting to say how I feel, and I'm starting to express myself a little bit more. And I remember I was at work, and I was talking about a family member who's having a little health issue, and as it relates to how God wants me to handle that, and I kind of broke down for a hot second, but it's because I put those emotions of how I felt about that family member on the shelf and not really dealt with them. And anytime I either look on that shelf or even start to take some of the stuff off that shelf as it relates to that family member, it gets emotional. So I'm starting to learn that hey, get that stuff out. And that's the other reason why, because I was talking to my wife about speaking to a therapist, just to help work out some of those things. And that's one of the things I find that's interesting, especially in the Black community, about when we talk about therapy and stuff like that. But that's something that I'm going to be looking into, because just so that I can be, the best me I can be, and so I can be everything that she needs me to be. And God already lays out the blueprint, but sometimes you need a little help. Right. You need somebody to kind of say, okay, listen. And what I'm understanding is therapists don't tell you what to do. They just kind of, you throw them you throw the conversation to them, and then they just lob it right back to you.
Right. Hi, Kawana, Tasha, Danita. Hey, Keish, love you too. Today's topic, if you missed it, is marriage, love, and us. And we're going to talk about marriage and the issues that are in marriage as it relates to a husband and wife. And so I think that with all of that being said, I think that I think that everybody should have some kind of marriage counseling. I think that because sometimes when you're expressing yourself, the other person thinks you're upset about something, right, because you have decided that you want to express how you feel. And then when you do express it, it's like, well, why are you upset? Well, the person is really not upset. They're just telling you, the other spouse is just telling you how they feel about a certain issue. And it's all in perception. It's how you perceive it. If you're a guy and your mom yelled, screamed, and hollered at you every single day, so when your wife says, oh, by the way, X, Y, and Z, and she's passionate about it, you think she yelling. When really, she's just saying how she feels.
She be yelling. She be hurting my feelings, Joe.
I'm going to need to get some Jesus in me today. Okay? And so with that, if you have that, then you tend to think that your spouse is, the octaves goes up, but it really doesn't. It's like, you telling them how you feel about something, and they're perceiving it differently because maybe it was the way they were raised, or maybe it was the way they were not raised. I know, like, some people and some married couples, like, they don't talk to their moms So they go into marriage and they don't have a lot of conversation for their spouse. And then when their spouse starts to talk, it becomes a real issue because now, you know, my mom never did this, or my parents didn't do this, and my parents didn't do that. And so you've taken up that is a curse, and you've taken up that curse. And so what you really want to do is you want to be the one to break that curse. You want to be the one to say, my marriage will be X, Y, and Z, and make a determination to make it so. My father was divorced, and I refuse to be in the divorce line. I refuse to do that because I believe that every marriage, if you marry the person, it can be worked out. It can be worked out. Be it going to counseling or however you wanna do it, but divorce should not be an option because you married that person for there was a reason that you married that person, and so why can't that same reason be the same reason that you do to keep that person? But I think that in marriage, communication is communication. It's great. You have to be able to talk. Sometimes we don't have the truth. We don't have the best communication. I mean,
I'll give you an example. Like last night when we were driving home, and we were talking about just our sex life, and I didn't. The way she approached or it came to me with the question, I just wasn't, I thought it was kind of one sided. So we were just kind of going back and forth and just talking, but we were talking. That was the key, talking about it, just so that I'm starting to learn how to listen and make sure she feels like she was heard in the process. Because as it relates to our sex life, shoot with doing here with work, with with all the other issues going on, we was running into a little dry spell. and and we were going, and my thing is, because I think I shared this before, is that I'm all in. I mean, everything can be worked out, and like you were saying, divorce is not an option for us. And besides, I think she's crazy. She be hiding just somewhere.
where you at?
No, that probably be me. But and seriously though, but
Who that woman is, Hoppo?
Oh man, I just got that image in my head. Oh man, that's hilarious.
I can't believe it. Hi, Maurice Battle. What's up?
What's up, big dog? But we just come to determination, no matter what, highs, lows, disagreements, dry spells, and I break that curse right now. I'm sorry, y'all, but when you get to a place where we are in our marriage, certain things, really aren't that important, and then not taking everything so seriously.
Yeah.
So that's why some of these are inside jokes, and we just cracking, we just laughing about it, but. Like I was saying, we're just in a position where we just decided that we're all in, and we're not going to let some foolishness, because we don't have a microwave marriage. Shoot, as a matter of fact, next month will be 29 years. It'll be 29 years of being married, so we're not letting foolishness. We're not letting the guests that are staying in our house. We're not doing none of that. Letting none of that come put a wedge between us.
Because it's easy to do that though, because you get so focused on work or how you're not working or whatever the case may be, and you get so focused on those things that you lose focus on what's important. And what's important is your spouse. Above all things, after God, then your spouse is the most important thing that you have. And I tend to wonder, why some people are so quick to want to divorce people, and why it is that they want to do it and do it so quickly. If something doesn't go right, the first thing you scream is, I want a divorce. Well, have you ever considered working that thing out, or at least trying to figure out how to work it out? We suggest marriage counseling. There's nothing wrong with marriage counseling, because sometimes they can hear you but not hear you, and you can hear them but not hear them, and what you perceive they're saying is something totally different from what they're saying. And so in marriage, you have to be really, really dedicated to trying to understand what that person wants, what that person needs, and how to address those issues in a marriage. How to address them. You guys send some comments so we'll know we're at least hitting home base or walking down your street and about to knock on your door, because we've had some bang out argument. No, fellowships. Yeah, we've had some bang out fellowships. I mean, to the tune where you just don't know what to do at that point. But we've had some really, really bang out arguments, and and we don't and we don't not speak. Like for a few hours, I'm fuming and I'm like, don't talk to me, don't breathe my ear, don't look at me, don't glance at me, don't smile at me, don't use my bathroom, don't use. I'm just keeping it 100, and sometimes that's how I feel. It's like, dude, don't talk to me right now, don't touch me, don't sit beside me. No, I'm gonna need you to go outside or walk the dog or do something until I get myself together. But I'm now finally realizing that if he offends me or if I offend him, I have until 5:59 that day to get over it. Because the Bible says that from sun up, you got from sun up to sundown to forget or apologize, repent, and forgive an offense. And so,
and that takes work. So I
yes,
don't want anybody to think that, because you still might be bad the next day. But when you have the blueprint or the template that God gives you, is, how he wants us to react or respond to a situation, then at least you can press toward that mark. You can at least strive toward it, go. But please, because there have been many times when it was 2 weeks later, I'm still pissed.
Yeah.
So, but it was a process. It took time to get to that point.
Right. He should say, I hear you knocking. I'm gonna ring the doorbell in just a minute. And so you have to understand, and your spouse has to understand you. Like I said, men don't talk a lot, but I'm learning that when they do talk, listen. And I'm at the point now in our marriage where I'll say, well, wait, what I thought I heard you say was X, Y, and Z. Is this what you're saying? So I just give it back to him so he can give it back to me in a way that because sometimes I don't understand. And I pride myself on my intelligence. And sometimes it don't take intelligence. It just takes some good old common sense. And if common sense was common, everybody would have some. But you have to put on your listening ear, even if it doesn't sound like something you want to hear, or it's something that you don't want to hear. You have to pay attention to it, because in the essence of things, he or she is saying something. You just need to hear what they're saying. And I just believe that as it regard back to the mother thing, as it regards to the moms and men, look how he treats his mom. Look how he treats his mom, because that'll be the way he treats you. And it's they're not always right. Men are not always right. Women are not always right. We're not always right. And that thing, I think some people, when they are married, they take that submissive thing way off the chart. I mean, you just blow it out the water. But you don't read. Some men only read, wives, submit yourself to your husband. But they don't go down to the next verse where it says to submit.
That one, it only gets stuck on the word submissive.
Yeah, and they stuck right there. But that's not what the word means. It means to take care of what you have, what God has given you. Take care of it. It doesn't mean that you have to be a doormat. It doesn't mean that you have to take everything. Take yourself off the sales rack and know what you're worth. Because you don't have to tolerate. There are different things that you don't tolerate in a marriage: the way they talk to you and the way they treat you. Those are the two most important things. You cannot and you will not talk to me like you crazy. You will, because I will pop off and the hood rat in me will come out. So you just can't talk to me any kind of way. Talk to me like I'm the blessing that God gave to you. Don't talk to me like I'm the trash can that you dump in the trash can. That's not going to work, because now you have frustrated each other and nobody wants to listen to the other one. Now you're mad, and nobody wants to speak, and you're walking around not speaking, and you're walking around just angry at each other for no reason, and it's just not right. You just can't do that, and you gotta know.
Look, hey, that's real. My lips are dry.
And you just gotta know what
Yeah, you look like a runaway slave.
what to what to say. So if you guys want to comment, please call 301-429-9247. I know that this is like a hot topic, a touchy one, but we needed to touch on it. This show talks about controversial things that people don't want to normally talk about. And we're just gonna keep it real with you. Yeah, we done had some ups and downs in our marriages. And yep, there are days where I want to put the cover over his head and smother him to death. And there are days when I want to put a bomb under my car. But it's just
a bomb under the car?
Dude, yes, when you hit a nerve, you hit a nerve. But I love him to life, and I would yeah, y'all break this.
I would say stab the tire.
Oh my God!
A bomb under the car.
But I'm just saying, hey Rhonda, I'm just saying that it's and you make each other angry, and you really do, and you gotta figure out how to get around it.
I don't think it's intentional though. I don't think it's just the marriage soup or masala, like I like to call it, is you're dealing with everything that makes you you, everything that makes her her, all the emotional stuff, all the emotional baggage from your family, how you were reared. You got all that stuff coming together, and you're trying to form this union that works cohesively.
Mm-hmm.
And it's challenging when you have to deal with this whole masala, this whole stew of emotions and all the stuff that goes on, and that you're dealing with generational things, you're dealing with emotional things, you're dealing with spiritual things. You got all this stuff going on, and you're trying to make it work. And it's just,
don't forget about personalities.
Right, exactly. I always bring this up because it was actually to me, it's just hilarious now, because I remember when we first got married, we had an argument over bread slices.
Oh my God.
The type of bread, because, she likes the sandwich bread, and I don't know.
I don't eat bread. It's the big bread.
Well, in any event, she wanted this type of bread. Now we all honeymooned in, and we going grocery shopping, and I was like, no, I don't like that kind of bread. I don't like that kind of bread. No, well, I don't like that kind of bread. And it just went back and forth over some bread.
Listen, and it could have been remedied. Could have bought 2 loaves of bread. Ta-da! We know that now. We didn't know that then, because we were still in.
No, we probably had to do rock, paper, scissors. We ain't had that much money yet.
Oh yeah, well, true that.
My bread.
Yeah, that's very true. But in any event, that's how you handle marriage. You gotta be. People throw love around like a loaf of bread. I love you to get what they want. I love you because you said, excuse me, because you said it to me. I love you because I'm saying it back to you. But do you really, really, really know how to love? Do you really know what love is? Come on, y'all, comment, call in. Let us know that you're listening. Send up some hearts, some thumbs, some something. Let us know that you're here with us. Send in an issue that I have my extra phone here, and I can see some of the comments. But comment, let me know, and we can answer some of those questions. I think that we've been married long enough that when I say we have done it all, from the car with the hole in the floor like the Flintstones to, jeez, to a little. We've experienced it. We've done it, and I think that our love and our marriage wasn't really meant for us. It was really meant to show people how to love. Because like he does things for me, like you just wouldn't expect. So out of nowhere, I'll get flowers from something. Just out of nowhere, I'll come home and we got pink roses sitting on the table. And so we do little things like that. And love is an action word, but I'm that girl that When I was growing up, I didn't hear it. And so I need to hear it. I see what you're doing,
Right.
but I need to hear it. My perspective is I need to hear it. Keisha wrote a question. She said, should I shut down when the convo is not going your should I shut down when the convo is not going your way? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What do she mean?
As a spouse.
Oh,
She said as a spouse.
but when you, I mean, when she says not going her way,
Why don't you try calling and we can answer it? But when you say not going your way, what exactly do you mean? Like, do you mean like if the conversation isn't going the way the other person wants it to go, do you shut down? No, you find out why and how you can make it so that that person will understand you and you can. Oh, you're at work. Um, and you make it so that that other person understands what you're talking about or what you need to talk about. If I'm answering your question correctly, it says, should I shut down when the convo is not going your way as a spouse? No. Mm-mm. Sometimes you got to walk away from it and then revisit it, but I don't walk away from it for 2, 3 days and then come back to it. No, I walk away for an hour or two and then come back and say, okay, can we just recap in what I thought I heard you say, or here is what I'm trying to convey, or this is what I was saying, or how should I say this to you next time, or tell me how I should say X, Y, and Z to you so that I can understand it and the next time that we have this conversation that we can have a conversation and an engaging conversation where you can say how you feel, they can say how they feel, and you come together and not shut down. Shut down is not good. That is not good at all because you still have that issue and it's going to come back again. And you can't shut down every time that issue comes around. You're going to have to address it.
and I think also that don't think of a disagreement or a challenging time as you win or I win. Think about it as we win. Try to come to some mutual agreement. And sometimes that mutual agreement will mean you can't agree on that one topic. But you agree to disagree, but you don't nobody has to be right all the time, or you don't have to win it. You like we have a disagreement, then I want to make sure that at least we come to some resolution. We have to come to some resolution on whatever the issue is, because if I'm not feeling hurt, or if I'm not feeling like she gets what I'm saying, or vice versa, then the issue is not being resolved, and it stays there. And then if you add another issue, or if you just add life issues on top of all of that, then you just create this big ball of mess that doesn't get resolved.
Right.
And I think I think a lot of people are walking around, with a lot of stuff that they just have, unresolved issues that could not easily, with some work, get resolved.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about marriage too. You gotta put some work in. You have to put some work in because you're not gonna be able to change that person. Oh, if I marry her or him, I can change him. Absolutely not. You will not. That's not your job. You will not. This is not gonna happen.
Do it.
You will cause yourself more pain and more heartache than you would ever know because you are now trying to change somebody that does not either want to be changed or needs to be changed. And so when you try to do that, you drive yourself bananas trying to please that person because you want them to change. You can't change anybody. The only person you can change is you. You cannot. You can pray. And let me tell you something. That works because I've done it. Um, I went to God and I said, okay, God, make him what you want him to be, not what I want him to be, not what he wants him to be, but what you want him to be. And I got just what God wanted him to be. I have a man who will worship God with me, who will pray to God with me, who will cover me in prayer. I have it because I went to God and said, I need you to make him what you want him to be. Because what I wanted would have been a total mess. A total mess.
That reminds me. I think we were like 5, 6 years ago, something like that. I said it was hilarious because I went to God and I went and told on her. Oh man, I was like, and she ain't doing this, and she ain't doing it. And I went down my little list, you know, I had nice little list. I was like, and I'm just a fussing. And I clearly heard God say, you are absolutely right. Everything you said is correct. Now let's talk about you.
Oh, feelings hurt.
Me and God stopped talking about that. But when you say that, it just made me think about that.
Because I mean, we try to do so much in marriage, and we try to, I mean, we try to do so much, and sometimes it doesn't pull through. But as in regards to another subject in marriage, what about when your spouse isn't saved? How do you handle being married to your spouse if you got saved? Okay, before you when you guys got married, you were not saved, and then you got saved, and then your husband is still wavering the fence. And how do you handle, or what do you say? What are your thoughts about, as it pertains to a man? What are your thoughts about that?
In that scenario, you said it. The only thing you can do is pray, not browbeat him, because that's the one thing. If you browbeat a man, we're not having that.
Hey,
We're going
Rhonda.
to do what we're going to do. Period.
Juliet. Hey, Robin.
But I think you said it clearly when you say you just have to go to God and pray. Let God do what He needs to do to change his heart.
Yeah. I think marriage is important to God, and I think that's why the enemy fights it so hard and makes it so trying and so difficult, because it's something that he doesn't want to people to succeed in. But I will tell you this, to those of you who are married, marriage is powerful. When you are married to somebody, you have become a power couple. You have become an awesome power couple in God. And I'm not taking anything away from the single women. You guys are powerful in your own rights. But as it pertains to marriage, you are a power couple. There are some power couples where one is a prophet and one is a preacher, where one is where they're both prophets, and they have children that are becoming prophets. Marriage is an ordained thing from God, and you have to treat it as such. You cannot just give up on marriage because something didn't go your way. You cannot talk to your spouse any old kind of way, because as it pertains to a man and his wife, God has given you a gift. When He's given you her, why would you treat your gift that way? Why would you treat your gift so horribly? And so you obtain favor from God. And so why would you treat your gift raggedy? Why would you do that? Why not treat your gift like a real gift, like an expensive gift?
But to that is, if you don't know, if you've never been taught, you don't
that's true too.
You don't have the blueprint. You may have an idea. I always think about the Cosby Show, and that nuclear family that they had on TV, as it relates to what was so-called perfect, a perfect marriage, perfect family, etc. But if you don't have a blueprint, then like me growing, in marriage, or at me as a young man, even before I got married, and not having a male figure, I had to kind of stumble and bumble and figure out that, what it meant to be a man, or how to strive to be a man. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have, I could look to my older brother. I can kind of look to maybe an uncle here or there, but for the most part, I had to stumble my way through. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do in marriage. They stumble their way through, and dealing with all that, dealing with just dealing with ourselves in general. That's a handful in and of itself. Then you want to add another person to it, and then if you don't have the framework or the infrastructure to understand, okay, how does this thing work? How can I make it work?
Right.
I tell, like me and some of the guys were talking, And, one of the things I always stress is the Bible declares that uh, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. What does that mean? When you say that, Christ died for the church. Now, does that mean does that mean a physical death? Not really, but it could come to that, depending on the situation, depending on the scenario. But what that means is there's a sacrifice there. There's an intent to strive to be everything to your mate that God is to the world.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
it's the sacrifice. And as men, sometimes that can be a little challenging if you feel like your needs aren't getting met. But what I will say to that is this: if you're striving to be everything God was to the church, to your wife, any and everything that you need will get showered back on you because you are doing everything that God or Christ did for when he did for the church. If you do that, it's reciprocal, and it may take some time and it may take some work. But if you are doing everything and going at your mate as Christ did for the body, then that it's reciprocal. Then everything that you need will get met. All the needs that you have will get met if you do that one thing.
Right. Right. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Hey, Paula. Hey, Andre. Sure, Earl. Hi, honey. I just think that people are too anxious to divorce. You know, we've managed to come a long way without having a lot of that shown to us. I think that nowadays, if there is um, infidelity um, or even little things like that, what do you think, or how do you think that would perceive in a marriage? Maybe perceiving this in a different word, but maybe how it. What is the reaction? Is the immediate reaction to pack up and roll out, to try to work it out, try to get some counseling, or just throw up your hands and say, forget it?
Well, and once again, I have to take it to the Bible. Marriage is a covenant, and if you ever look at what happened in the Bible, when you break a covenant,
Right.
sometimes there were very serious repercussions behind that. So if you break your covenant in your marriage, you know, unless you're planning to forgive,
Mhm.
um, then there is generally an out right there. But if you're going to strive to work for it, then forgive, repent, and move on. But as a man, just speaking from a man's perspective, um, you have to do everything in your power to make sure that your significant other, your mate, is comfortable and secure.
Mhm.
Meaning, you know, she knows where you are. You know, that anything in that neighborhood that would make her whatever it would take to make her feel comfortable and secure, so that that is no longer an issue. Then that's what you would have to do.
Right. Well, I think even in the perspective as ever to regards to women, I also think the same thing that women cheat too. And I think that you have to. There's a reason why. Let's start with that. There is a reason why you decided that you wanted to step out. Nobody is innocent when somebody says no. Nobody's innocent. I learned that through a counselor. And her first words were, uh, well, what part did you play? And then you start looking at her like she crazy or he crazy, and like, what you talking about? But we all play a part. We all play a role, and it may not be as detrimental as whoever stepped out, but we all play a role in our relationships and in our marriages. We all play a role. There is either something that you didn't do, won't do, or won't talk about, or will talk about and shouldn't talk about. But there is something that is going on that would do that. Most times, I think that it's something that you want to do. I think that it's something that you just it's a choice. It's a decision that people make to do that. Um, and I think that's a detrimental choice. And then after you get on the other side and you find out the grass is brown, um, you try to fix it, and hopefully and prayerfully it can be fixed. So y'all got some questions about what you would step out? I mean, why you would, or what you think would cause a division in marriage, or a division even in your relationship, because relationships most times end up in marriage. So you have to be really, I don't know, you have to want to be married, and you gotta want to be able to stand in it, because marriage is not something to be played with. And like when we cancel couples, which is really different, when we cancel couples, we tell them, what if an accident happened and he couldn't do, or she couldn't do anything, and he or she was paralyzed from the waist down? Would you leave? Would you stay? Um, what would you do? Would you invite somebody else in? What would you do? I mean, is it worth living out? Because the Bible say, "Until death do you part." If that person is not dead yet, then what do you do? Looking for y'all comments. What do you do? Because marriage is a serious thing, and the love of marriage is even more serious. Because you have to love a person, not just because you say it. But you have to love them internally, love what they are, love who they are, in order for it to even work. You have to know what you're dealing with, so you'll know how to handle it, and what to do in a marriage, and how to how to do it in a marriage, because it's not always going to be great. It's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be a bed of roses and red glasses. It's just not going to be that. There are some trials and tribulations in marriage that most people don't want to talk about. But we're just going to be 100 with you, and we're talking about them. I just think that it's hard work when you get married. It's absolute hard work. It's hard work, because when we first got married, we never lived together. So
Right.
so it was like,
As a matter of fact, that was my first apartment.
yeah, it was like a real reality check, because we never lived together. And the fact that I came in with two, that alone, let me know that this one here, you gotta hold on to. Even though at first I thought, no, because I was looking at his age and not who he was. And I just was
6 year difference.
no, that's a
6.
lot. That when I was 6, you weren't even born. You weren't even
6.
living when I was 6. Oh my God!
Talking about the age difference.
I know you weren't even born when I was 6. I was in
6.
middle school, and you still in elementary
Oh my
school.
gosh. Now I can see if he was like 10 or 15 years old, and then she could say age, but 6, please.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. But I had to get past that. But I had to get past that, and it took a minute to get past that, because in my mind, this little boy here, he wasn't even thought about when I was 6. So I mean, that was my little thing. That was my little thing. I'm sure you had one too. So.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. I know you did. But
if this was a private conversation, I would just say when I met you, I looked at big booty you had. But
this is not a private conversation.
So I'm not gonna say she had a big booty and that's what attracted me.
But
I'm not gonna say that.
But
She
I
had a
will
good smile.
But I
She had a
will.
good. I love
You know what? Oh, God. But I will say this: this show, the intentional show, is always going to keep whatever it is 100. You ask a question, we're going to answer it 100%. Because I think that when you answer, even in marriage, love, and us, I think that when you answer in 100, people know that you're real, and then know that you're not going to hide behind this facade as a, oh, God, I can't answer that. But I think that by us being 100, it will help some other couple. It will help somebody else. It would. Robin said big booty, and she started laughing. It runs in the family, girl, you know. And so I think if we keep it 100 and keep it real with people, that people will know that, you know, marriage is hard work. It's a ministry, and it's hard work, and some days it ain't what it's cut out to be.
And I would say just to give some people some helpful tools. The 5 love languages. Understanding your mate's love language, because that uh, just something quickly. She'll cook dinner and I'll eat it, and I'll lick my plate sometimes.
Oh God,
Don't
that's
judge
so
me. Don't judge me.
disgusting.
Anyway, I lick my plate now.
That's
Anyway,
disgusting.
but she'll ask me, how was it? Or she's waiting for me to tell her that it was good. She needs that part, that piece of her, she needs that. And it took me a long time, because for me, I ate it. I don't eat nothing that I don't like. But I had to understand how to communicate with her so that I was, because if you're not speaking her language, or if I'm not speaking her language, then there's a language barrier.
Right.
We won't be, there'll be something lacking on her part that I'm not fulfilling. So I had to kind of learn the love language. So I would say 5 love languages, and then understanding on both parts. Men, we do not think like women. Women, we do not think like men. Get that paradigm shift so that you can understand. So you won't make we'll make the mistake of saying, well, why don't they get it? Because we don't think like y'all.
Hey, Conrad, you're absolutely right. I know I read that book that says women are like spaghetti and men are something. Yeah, I kind of believe it, but I think that men can be taught to understand.
It's not that we don't understand. It's the way that we process. It's the way that we go about it. Because, like I said, women thoughts are run like a bowl of spaghetti. Men are like ice cube trays, compartmentalized. And one's not. It's not a bad or good over the other. But that's just the way we are. That's the way that we are designed. So once you understand how your mate thinks, once you understand their love language, then you're much more apt to communicate more effectively, and then those needs are being met. But I think you have to take that into account instead of going into a situation and being frustrated because your significant other doesn't get it or can't understand where you're coming from, or you can't see why they can't understand, or your language is not being spoken.
Right.
Because if your language is not being spoken, I mean, it's like going into a
Quiet
foreign country. Yeah,
conversation.
going into a foreign country looking, blood, because you can't understand what's going on.
So you would say for your mate to get understanding, learn
Yes.
to get understanding, learn how to understand your mate, learn what your mate needs, and understand those needs, and understand those desires, and understand those wants. So now, just talking about this out loud, I now understand what you meant yesterday. I had to process it, but talking about it now, because I'm a processor, he can say something today and he'll get a response back from me maybe tomorrow because I need to process it and get my thought pattern together. But and a lot of women I know are like that. We have to process things. We just can't come right out with what you want right then. I gotta process it. But I understand now what you meant yesterday. When you asked me what you asked me yesterday, I clearly got it now. So wow, that was good. That was good. So we hope that we kind of shedded some light on marriage, on love, and on us, because we let y'all into our intimate, secret places. And I pray that it helped. It helps somebody, and I pray that it helps somebody in their marriage and in their understanding and in their love, because love covers a multitude of sin. So Jesus never gave up on us the way he loves us. And so we should not be so eager and so fast to give up on our mates. They are not perfect people. They are just like us. They make mistakes all the time. And just strive for a better you, because you can't change anybody else. You can only change you. So strive for a better you. And if there's a drought in your marriage, fix that drought, because the Bible says come back together quickly. So fix the drought. Figure out what it is that you need to do to fix the drought, and just fix it. Because sometimes there is one, and just, because life gets so busy, and by the time your head hit the pillow, it's a wrap. So, I mean, hi Karen. And by the time your head hits the pillow, it's a wrap. And so I think that we've covered a majority of a lot of stuff as it pertains to marriage, love, and even us. You can still send us messages on Facebook, and we will answer them. We're going live. We're on live on YouTube, and we will even answer those questions on YouTube. If you have some, we'll answer them. We don't have a problem with sharing, because I think that somebody's got to fight, and
Very true.
and you can't tell a person how to get out of something if you're not going to be 100 with that person, because they don't want to hear, oh, I prayed about it. Okay, now what? You prayed, so now what? What are we going to do now? Since we prayed about it, what are we going to do?
Because that ninja's still acting up.
Right. So, there are other things that you have to do in order to, if you want it to work, it will work. You build it, they will come. It's all in perspective. You gotta put everything into perspective and how you want it. Just remember that you can't change your spouse, only God can change your spouse. You
Man.
can only pray that God will change that person for you, either or, him or her. And you just pray and you ask God and you believe God for it. And sometimes it looks worse. What is that scripture? The end of a thing is better than the beginning of the thing. So sometimes the beginning can be the worst part, but the end is the best part. And so we have to focus on that. Hey, Ray. And we have to focus on that. But I will say that if you are married, hug your spouse like it's the last time. Kiss your spouse like it's the last time. Because you want them to know that you're the most important thing to me. And nothing else is more, other than God, nothing else is more important than you are to me, because you 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 are me. I'm a part of him. So sometimes when he says something crazy, I'll say, did you look in the mirror? Because I'm a part of him. When God created Eve, where did he get her from? Got her from him. So and that's kind of how I look at things now. It's like, okay, yeah, it's how I look at things. A greater topic was marriage, love, and us. And so, yeah, uh, that's what we think about marriage. And marriage is strong and it's powerful. And if you have a spouse, you are a power couple. You are a devil's nightmare, because you are a power couple. Pray together, stay together, make it work. Get some counseling. Talk to somebody. Talk to each other.
You just said that. That just reminded me. And it's sometimes it can be a little challenging, but I'm gonna ask everybody for it because it takes 21 days to get a habit.
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask all the married couples for 21 days, pray together. In the morning, at night before you go to bed, pray together for 21 days, and then after that 21 days, keep praying.
Yeah, yeah, because you created a habit. Oh, those 21 days, you've created a habit. And so, with that, I promise you it will work. I promise you it will work. Because God loves marriage and it will work. So pray with your partner, love on your partner, greet your partner. Men, take some flowers home just because. Yeah, you don't have to have a reason, just take them.
What's that song? Oh, what is it called? 100 Ways? Is that it?
Oh, you talking about Will Downing?
No, what? No, no. What is it? Compliment what she does.
Oh Lord, help us, Jesus! He gonna sing? No! Don't
Just
sing.
because if it's violin she loves,
No.
let them play.
Jesus, help
Who
us.
sings that?
I don't know. I don't know. Somebody on here knows, I'm sure. Robin laughing at you. I thought you were talking about Will Downey, A Million Ways to.
No, that's a million ways. I know him, but no, that. But
they laughing at you. Oh my God, y'all. I would say I'm embarrassed, but I'm not because I'm used to it now. So, wow, we have had a blast with y'all. James Ingram.
yeah,
Yeah, that Rhonda said James Ingram. You better go, girl. Cheryl said find 100 ways. Yeah, that's the song, Cheryl. That's the song. That comment. Oops, James Ingram. Yeah, they're saying James Ingram. Thank you, because I didn't know who I thought he was talking about. Will Downing. I would have went with the Will Downing, but that's just me. So we hope that we have covered a lot of stuff in marriage. And like I said, if you have other comments that you want to make, please hit us up on Facebook. Inbox us if you don't want anybody to know who you are. And I got that. Inbox
share.
us. Yeah, and please share. Make it a watch party. Share it to get it online because we need to, we need to know that we're helping somebody somewhere get their marriage together or save their marriage, and we're not here to diagnose, prognose, or determine. We're just here to give you some simple facts, some simple information that we went through that helped somebody else because we have told people our story and it has helped. It has helped people to get through their marriages. It has helped people to stay together. And it has helped us a lot. So we are not out of word, not out of messages, not out of love, but we are out of time. And so we'd like to thank you guys for joining us today, and we hope and pray that we helped somebody today, that we helped you to figure out some things in your marriage or touch some things or gave you that aha moment that you can repair your marriages. So I just want to do a quick prayer before we leave. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this day, this hour, this moment, this time. These are your people. These are your marriages. And we ask that you just do what you need to do and do what you have to do in them. We love you today, God. We thank you. We look forward to hearing from the processes and the good news and the blessings that will be bestowed upon your married people. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Hey,
Well,
let me get shout out. I almost forgot. Got to get up. Shout out to my pastor, Pastor Mark Talbot, Lady LaShonda, and the whole Word of Life Christian Center. Love you guys.
Well, we're not out of word, but we're out of time. And this has been the Intentional Radio Show. We thank you for intentionally visiting us. Be intentional about what God does for you, how He does it. Be intentional about running to His arms because He loves you. He adores you. He's the lover of your soul. And so we thank you for coming today. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time on the Intentional Radio Show. We're out. Deuces. That's good. So now we have to turn off everything.
So are we officially off?
No, we're officially off the WBTR, but we're still on the radio because the light is green. And we are officially. What? That's what you're trying to do. Trying to be cute. You are cute, but you can't do that. Oh
I
my
don't
God.
wop my head. Sorry, y'all. I don't wop my head off.
I know, right? They turn off the YouTube one first.
Stream. All right. Are you sure you want to end? Yes.